Hi everyone. If you are watching this, you should be in the policy debate module if you are learning about policy debate. So today we are going to, in this video, talk about the stock issues. So stock issues are the top priority things in a policy debate round, and they're what give us our rules in policy debate. They also piece together the affirmative case, or the affirmative is the side that says yes to a topic, and they also outline a little bit of what the negative team does. So make sure you're taking notes as we go through, because some of this stuff will be on the slides, but some will not. Okay, so we just talked about what stock issues are, and we're going to talk about each individual one. So we have this acronym, THIS/AD, and that will tell you all of the stock issues. THIS/AD. So topicality, harms, inherency, solvency, advantages, and disadvantages. There's a bonus kind of stock issue. It's not quite a stock issue, but you want to know it, and it's plan. So we'll talk about plan, but you can just remember THIS/AD is all the stock issues, and then there's also a plan. All right, so the first one is topicality. So the affirmative team must be topical. And what that means is they have to follow the resolution, and they have to say yes to the resolution. If they are saying maybe to the resolution, they are not topical. If they are saying we should do the plan and something else, they are not topical. They have to directly follow the plan or the resolution or the topic, excuse me. So while this is an affirmative stock issue, if the affirmative is not topical, the negative is going to attack the affirmative on topicality. So they will run topicality, the negative will, against the affirmative because the affirmative must be topical. If the affirmative is topical, then this stock issue is checked off, and the negative doesn't have to worry about anything because the affirmative is topical, or they follow the topic. The next one is harms. So harms is essentially what bad stuff is happening right now. And another way of saying right now in the world is to say the status quo. So what is going wrong in the status quo? Everything in the world around us right now. That's going to be your harms. Your harms need to relate to the resolution or the topic, but you'll look at your topic and say what bad things are going on that we want to fix. In a policy debate case and with stock issues, you only address the stock issue at that time. You never would say, there's this bad thing, but we're going to fix it. You don't say that. You would only say, here's a bad thing. Here's another bad thing. Okay. So to find your harms, you think, what bad things exist in the status quo related to our topic? The next one is called inherency. So unlike harms or topicality, topic, inherency is a word usually you probably will never have encountered before. So we're looking for what the inherent barrier is. So a barrier is something that stops us from going somewhere or doing something. There is a barrier in your road, you can't continue through on your road. So it's stopping the cars from going through. So an inherent barrier stops action from happening. So there's a bad thing. Why aren't we stopping it right now? What is the inherent barrier to fixing the problem? So if we're on a road, here's the bad thing. Why is there a barrier stopping us from going through and fixing the problem? Okay, so for example, let's look at our community projects. Okay, our sidewalks are falling apart. Why is nothing being done to fix it? The city doesn't have enough money, maybe. There's other important things, more important things in the city to fix. They actually did fix them a few years ago, maybe. So we don't need to do it now. Those are all inherency arguments. Why isn't somebody doing something to fix those bad things right now? The next one is our bonus stock issue, and that's your plan. So your plan, we take the topic and you decide what you want to do. So your topic for your city beautification project was to find something to beautify the city. Your plan was, we will replace all the sidewalks, or we're going to replace the Welcome to Mountain Home sign by the highway. That is a plan. So in your plan, when you're writing your plan, you want to think about a few things. How much it will cost. What you're planning to do will cost too much money, you probably don't want to do it. You want to think about who will make sure it gets done. If there's nobody that can do that, then your plan's not going to work. You want to be detailed, but think through your plan pretty well. You write your plan yourself, okay? Normally in policy debate, the main actor is called the United States federal government. So they are always going to be listed in your plan. So the United States federal government will do blank. Okay, that would be your plan. The next stock issue is solvency or solve, how you're going to solve the problem. So if the problem is that our sidewalks are cracked and people are getting hurt, our solvency and our plan is that we're going to fix the sidewalks. Solvency is by repaving the sidewalks, it will eliminate the cracks, therefore stopping people from getting hurt. So we just piece it together. And sometimes you might think like, well, duh, it's implied if they fix the sidewalks, they won't have cracks in them. But in debate, we really want to outline every single piece so nobody can make wrong assumptions about something. So solvency is directly how the plan is going to fix those harms you laid out. The next stock issue is advantages. So we have the solvency that addresses and talks about how the plan will fix the harms, but advantages are like added bonuses to doing your plan. So if our harms were that people are getting hurt because the sidewalks are cracked, in solvency we said by fixing the sidewalks, they're not cracked and people don't get hurt. What other added benefits come from fixing the sidewalks? People are more likely to walk on them, which will increase people's willingness to exercise. That's a bonus. They look nicer, so it will get people to drive further into town instead of getting on and off the highway, and they might spend more money. It will make people take more pictures of the town and post them online, so people will be paying more attention to Mountain Home. Those are all advantages. So they're added bonuses that not necessarily are fixing something, but just good added bonuses. And all of those are affirmative stock issues. Topicality is an affirmative stock issue, but if the affirmative is not topical, the negative will run topicality against the affirmative. Disadvantages are a negative stock issue. So the negative's main job, starting out in policy debate, is to outline the bad things, the disadvantages that come from passing the plan. So the affirmative talked about cracks in the sidewalk and how it hurts people, and they're going to fix that. And they also talked about how people are going to exercise more on the sidewalks. So that will like help the health of the citizens. Disadvantages, I could bring up one about money, how this would a spending disadvantage, how this would cost way too much money and the city does not have it. Another disadvantage would be that, what could be another disadvantage? Another disadvantage could be that the construction companies in town never do good work. So we're going to spend money and it's going to lead to the same quality or worse sidewalks. Another disadvantage is similar kind of disadvantage is that instead of spending money on this other more important thing, we're going to spend it on sidewalks. And so maybe our parks the trash won't get picked up in parks, or our roads are going to start being hurt because we're spending money on the sidewalks instead of roads. So the negative, when they come up, their job in the round is to point out all of the flaws and disadvantages that come from passing the plan. And there's 4 parts to a disadvantage, which we'll talk about more in depth later, but those 4 parts are uniqueness, link, internal link, and impact. So those are our stock issues. So we're going to kind of walk through how to do this one more time. And I would write these things down as we go through. So the plan is that, let's pretend I'm a high school student and I'm presenting a plan to my parents. The plan is that my parents, or they, will allow me to go to the movies tomorrow night with my friends, okay? So I'm trying to convince them they should allow me to go to the movies tomorrow night with my friends. So we're going to skip topicality for now and make sure at the end we're topical. So we already know our plan. Parents will let me go to the movies tomorrow night with my friends. What harms exist right now that doing that might fix? Right now, I'm really sad and lonely because all of my friends are on different school days than I am, so I never get to see them. Another thing is that the movie theaters have been closed for a long time, and so the movie theaters are really struggling to stay open because they don't have any profits coming in. That would be the harms. Two harms. I'm lonely. Movie theaters are almost going out of business. Inherency. Why can't I go to the movies right now? I'm not allowed to hang out with my friends on weeknights. That would stop me from going to the movies on a weeknight because my parents don't let me do that. Another inherent barrier could be that I don't have money to go to the movies. However, our plan is not going to address money. I didn't ask my parents for money. I just asked them to let me go to the movies. So I would not want to include that in inherency. So our plan then is that my parents will let me go to the movies tomorrow night, which is a weekday in our scenario, with my friends. So solvency, how we're going to fix those bad things. By going to the movies with my friends, it lets me spend more time with my friends and I'm going to be less sad and more happy. That solves our first harm. The second harm was that movie theaters are losing money. By my parents letting me go to the movies with my friends tomorrow night, we'll all be spending money not only on tickets but on concessions, giving the movie theaters more income so they're less likely to go out of business. That addresses my second harm, and that was solvency. Added bonuses. What are some added bonuses to letting me go to the movies on a weeknight that my parents don't normally let me do? They show that they trust me, and so I'm more likely to do things for them. So an advantage would be that I'm more likely to help my parents around the house. That's a good advantage. Another advantage would be that maybe the movie's historical. So I'm going to actually do better in my history class because the movie's about something we're learning in history class. So that would be an added bonus, as it would help my education. So that's an advantage. Now, if I was the affirmative and I brought those things up, my parents don't want me to go. So they're going to try to think of disadvantages that exist to me going to the movies. One disadvantage is I'm going to lose sleep because the movie will last a long time and I will miss my bedtime. So I'll lose sleep, which will make it more likely for me to fall asleep in school the next day. Another disadvantage would be that it costs money and I would have to dip into my savings in order to pay for this movie, which means less money for things that I need, like car repairs or spending money on college. Those are two big disadvantages that come from doing my plan. And that's what the negative would outline to try to convince the judge that the plan should not pass. I should not get to go to the movies. So those are the stock issues. So you did all of these parts in your city beautification project. We just didn't call them this. And when you start policy debate, your very first case will have all of these pieces already. And your job is to just learn the pieces that exist already. All right. Hopefully you took some notes on this. If you didn't, I would rewind and rewatch and take some notes.